eternal, yet ever new. His advent and His proximity, His mystical leelas and His songs, every mischief and miracle a message memorable. Every pain and travail a precept enacted. As the bud blossomed to reveal 1,000 petals, it can only be said that the fragrance of the first few years was unique.
And so Swami decides that let me start now itself, and he decides to start walking towards Pushpagiri fair. Swami's thinking is, by road it takes 30 kilometers. But if you walk through the fields, it's only 11 kilometers. But 11 kilometers for an 11-year-old boy is not a joke. And he walks in the night and walks through the night. He has nothing with him, nothing. Only his body which he is carrying and a torn rag on it. And as he is walking, he is thirsty. And Swami would later reveal in his discourses, he felt thirsty, but at night who is there? And that place is really God-forsaken. It is not because God was walking there, but there was nothing, there were no homes in sight. Where will he ask for water? Nearby was one trough, which would be filled in the summer because passing cows, buffaloes can drink. Just as we would sit with our friend and eat food and drink water, Swami drank water with the buffalo. Is it any surprise that he would call his dear ones as Dunnapota in his later years? And see, this is actually the Google Earth map today. That small red dot over here, that is the Chennakeshava Swami temple. And this is Kamalapuram. And so you can see Swami can just cut across without following the highway. Today there is a state highway, that day there was nothing. An adult human being goes at about 4 kilometers per hour, which means a child walks at about 2 kilometers per hour. So without stopping, if Swami had walked, to cover 11 kilometers, Swami would have taken almost 6 hours. 6 hours of non-stop walking with a break for water, which he shared with the buffaloes. That is the kind of hardship that Swami bore with a smile on his face.
Oftentimes we've heard Swami making this statement. He would say, "Test is my taste." When we start something new, when we want to start a new venture, we pray to the Lord. We pray to Swami and say, "Swami, please remove the obstacles. Make sure that nothing impedes my progress." But here was the avatar, the Lord himself, nothing. He just wants to go to a cattle fair. He wants to go to a next town and take part as a Boy Scout. And imagine the number of obstacles which are coming in its way. And he did not do this without a reason. That is why it is very important and very necessary to read Swami's life. Because whatever Swami asked us to do in the later years, when Swami spoke about Kshama, when he spoke about forbearance, when he spoke about patience and perseverance, Swami did not tell us something which, it was not an advice which was given from a pedestal. Swami said, "Look at my life." That is why I say my life is my message. Because all through I persevered, I had patience, and I did not let obstacles deter my path. And as Swami walked away from the house towards Pushpagiri, at one particular point, Swami found 2 interesting things. He found a 1 anna coin. We explained how insignificant 1 anna is, and 1 packet of beedis. And Swami would explain that the moment he saw those beedis are something like country-made cigarettes. Swami says, I tore it into pieces, made small pieces and threw it away so that nobody could ever use it again. Swami showed the disgust that he had for that habit even at that young age. Then with this 1 anna coin, what can you do with a 1 anna coin? So Swami took this 1 anna and went towards this Pushpagiri fair. And as we explained, it's a fair where cattle is being sold, but there are all other kind of shops and small things which are kept. And there is a man who is sitting there, and it's a very different kind of a game where you can pledge your money and you can try your luck. It's a game of gambling. It's called Buddha Buddha Kate. That was the name of that game in those days. So Swami went there and saw that many people were pledging money and they were multiplying, or some of them losing their money. So Swami decided to gamble with that 1 anna coin which he had found. So that 1 anna was in no time multiplied into 12 annas. Swami played and he was not losing. And Swami said, after some time, I felt sorry for that fellow who was losing all his money. So Swami said, okay, we'll stop. And again, this is enough for me. So in his mind, Swami was calculating that this much is the money I need. Swami would say that with that one dammidi, you can get 3 dosas. So Swami said 3 dosas for breakfast, 3 dosas for dinner. So that is good enough. So that will take care of the next 3 days. Then I can come back in a bus. That will be taken care of. Then I can buy something for the people at home. So 10 annas is enough. And the man who is at the shop, he said, why are you stopping? Luck seems to be on your side. Why don't you play on? And not only does Swami say, no, I don't want to play on. At one point he says, why don't you take back this money? I don't feel right. I don't feel that it is right for me to deprive you of your profits. Take back this money. And that man is surprised. He's saying he has seen customers who fight that he's not being fair and they try to grab more. But here is a boy who has rightfully, in quotes, earned some money, and he's saying, I would like to give it back to you. But Swami would describe that he too was a good man, though he was having a game of gambling. He said, no, you have dharmically won it, you have to keep it, it is yours. So Swami said, all right, if you feel that way, and he takes the money and goes. And even as Swami was going, Swami heard that man telling the other people there, he is not an ordinary boy. No ordinary boy would do this. And years later, whenever Swami would narrate this incident, Swami would over and over again, Swami would either start with a prelude or conclude with a remark saying that this was the only mistake that this body ever did. Swami would always say that this is the only mistake this body ever did, making sure that please do not take this as an example to go and gamble when you have a need for money, because this was a mistake. Even if the avatar himself did, the avatar said this was a mistake.
That is humility, Does Swami need to apologize for those few dammidis, for those few coins, which he did in a situation where he was being forced to drink with the buffaloes? Yet Swami did not spare himself. He said, it was a mistake, I should not have done it. That is humility, and that sort of humility is only possible when a person doesn't have any body consciousness, doesn't feel this is me, that is others. Everything is me. Swami reached the fair, and for one day he managed, as he had planned, 3 dosas in the morning, 3 dosas in the evening. Now at night when he has to sleep, he doesn't have money to afford the lodging there. So he decides to sleep under a tree. What does he do with those few coins that he has got? He buries them 2 inches into the ground, makes a small mound of mud, lies down using that mound of mud as his pillow, the earth, his bed, the sky, his sheet. He wakes up the next morning and he sees that his head is not on his pillow anymore. In the place of his pillow, in the place of a mound of mud, is a pit. Somebody has gently pushed him aside, dug and taken away all the coins. Swami seems to show that when the avatar takes human form also, the human form obeys all laws. There's one interesting detour over here. A teacher had once told me that, there's something called the divine slate, a slate in which all your karmas are maintained. The more karmas you commit, the more you have to face the consequences, and therefore, if you have committed a lot of wrongs, it may not happen that you commit a wrong and you will immediately be punished, because you have already got a long list of other punishments to pay for. But if your slate is clean, the minute you do a mistake, immediately you are punished for it, because God doesn't want you to accumulate any karma. It almost appears like that in Swami's life, where the minute it is done and the money is gone. And Swami shows that he subjects his own body also to the rules of dharma. And when the money is gone, Swami just decides to go hungry. 3 days, no food. No food at all for 3 days, and yet he is enthusiastically and energetically helping people, doing seva at the fair, as this painting depicts. And that is how Swami spent 3 days, after which some friend noticed this, and he would secretly smuggle and keep 2 dosas for Swami. And so Swami accepted those dosas, and he would have those 2 dosas. That is how he spent the rest of the time at the fair. He never asked money from anyone, except on the last day when he asked for a few dammidis, because he wanted to buy prasadam and take home for his sister-in-law.
At the time when Swami came to Pushpagiri, his sister-in-law was carrying. So he felt it would be auspicious to take some prasadam from this temple and give it to his sister-in-law. So he comes with all this prasadam and these flowers which he's bought for her. And when he enters the house, he sees that his brother has come back from his training. And Swami would describe that scene. The brother was sitting there and he was drawing lines with a ruler. And that is when he finds that little Satyam has just come in with all this prasadam. And the brother is infuriated because he's saying that my wife is carrying, she needs help at home. And where have you gone away all these days? You've left her to do all the work by herself. And he starts scolding this young boy, his younger brother, and takes the ruler and starts beating him. And Swami says that his hand gets swollen because of that beating. Because there are some other reasons why, because there is a complication in the pregnancy. And the very next day, the sister-in-law has a miscarriage. So immediately the brother sends a telegram, and as we described yesterday, Puttaparthi was not even on the postal map of this country. So a telegram can be sent only to Bukkapatnam, and somebody has to deliver it by hand from Bukkapatnam. But on that particular day when this telegram reached Bukkapatnam, the father of Swami, Venkamaraju Garu, he was there in Bukkapatnam to do his purchases. So the moment he read this telegram that his son's wife had a miscarriage, he immediately boards a bus and comes to Kamalapuram. And that is when he comes to Kamalapuram, he sees that this little boy whom he has left in the care of his elder son is having a swollen hand, he's bandaged very badly. What has happened to you? So Swami immediately brushes him, said, no, I just fell down, I just hurt myself, I'm fine.
It was in the time of the night that, the father pulls aside his little son. He calls him aside, and with tears in his eyes, as this charcoal painting depicts, he tells Satyam, I have heard the neighboring lady, a Vaishya woman by name Subama. She was one of the neighbors of Swami at Kamalapuram, and she has told the father. She cries out and says, why don't you have the ability to take care of your own son? Why do you leave him here? Don't you know how much trouble he goes through? She tells him about him doing household chores, getting water, getting scoldings, getting beatings. And when she tells all this, the father breaks down and he says, Satyam, I can sell salt, I can do anything, I can get money, that is not a problem. Please come back with me, Satyam. Please come back. And you know what is Swami's reply? Swami says, Father, if I come back with you now, what will again the neighbors speak? They will tell what we said is true. That is why the father has taken away the son. And on top of that, Father, this is not the right time. See, brother and sister-in-law have lost the child. They will need some support now. This is the time they need me the most. This is not the time to leave them. He has made it a point that when we need him the most, he will never let us go. We may criticize him, we may beat him. Of course, physically we will not beat him. We will beat him through our words, through our thoughts. And say, Swami, I trusted you, you let me down, Swami. Swami, why is this happening, Swami? Swami, I have put all my faith in you, what have you done, Swami? We lash out to him. We hit him and beat him with our words. But even at that time, Swami will not leave. Swami says, you may leave me, but I can't leave you. And that is what he displayed even as a little child. He said, Father, I can't come now. This is no problem. This is such a small thing. This is nothing at all. You go, Father. When the time is right, I myself will return to Puttaparthi.
Today we see a lot of overseas devotees here. People from the West, people from Europe, from the southern continents of Australia, New Zealand. But in Kamalapuram, Swami had his first overseas devotee, the first foreigner, in quotes. He comes and has and recognizes Swami. And Swami has spoken many times about him. And he is a very famous personality by the name Wolf Messing. That's a picture of him. He's a very world-famous personality, especially during that time, during the 1930s and 40s. He was a Polish-born European who lived mostly in Germany. And what was special about him was he was a world-renowned mystic. A mystic who used to give stage shows. He had the ability to read people's minds. He had the ability to predict the future, to bend objects, lift objects, just through the power of their mind. So living in Germany, he made a very fatal prediction. Fatal for himself, because he predicted that the German army under the stewardship of Hitler will lose the day they move eastwards. So the moment he makes this prediction, he has a reputation of being very powerful and very mystical. So immediately Hitler says that get him arrested. Whoever gets him arrested will be given a reward. So Wolf Messing starts running from Germany and he goes to Russia. And in Russia, the story goes that you have the other dictator there, Joseph Stalin. Wolf Messing is already famous and his fame precedes him. So even before he could enter Russia, Joseph Stalin says, get him arrested. It's better to have this fellow behind bars. You never know what he'll be up to. So he's arrested, and after he's arrested, Stalin says that I myself will come and examine if he is really as powerful as people talk about him. So Joseph Stalin comes and he sees Wolf Messing, and instantly he kind of becomes very friendly with Wolf Messing. He finds that he's a very innocuous person. So he decides to test the abilities of Wolf Messing. He says, you have to rob a bank without any weapons, without any force, without use of any weapons. You have to go and rob a bank. So Wolf Messing takes the challenge. So few of Stalin's men escort him to a bank. They stay outside the bank and they want to see that he's doing it without using any weapons or any force, or he has to do it just using his mental powers. And this is a documented incident. He goes up to the bank and the cashier is sitting there and he hands out an empty piece of paper and he encashes 100,000 rubles with an empty piece of paper. The cashier just hands him the money. And the people of the Stalin army who are sitting there are shocked. They're saying that this man is just gone without anything. With an empty piece, a blank piece of paper, he goes and he's encashed 100,000 rubles. And later when the cashier is told that, you gave him 100,000 rubles for an empty piece of paper, he faints. He says that I thought it was a check. I had no idea that it was blank. Because through his mind, he had convinced that cashier that this was a check which he was giving.
That was the power of Wolf Messing, and he arrived in India. In fact, he arrived at the Kamalapuram railway station. And when he arrived at the Kamalapuram railway station, he got out with a kind of anticipation because he could sense that the ultimate objective of his life was here. In fact, during his discourses, Swami would say that this gentleman, tall and fair foreigner, came rushing towards Satyam. He was playing with his two friends Ramesh and Paresh, and as Swami is playing with them, Wolf Messing comes rushing, embraces him, plants a kiss on his cheek and says, I have found Atma, I have found Atma, I have found Atma. And the two friends, they are convinced that this person is a nutcase. He's a mental person who has come to kidnap their best friend. So they pull out Raju from the hands of Wolf Messing and rush home. And when they rush home, he's locked up inside. Wolf Messing comes there. He stands. And you know what we used to do in the 90s and 2000, or some of you even before that, Wolf Messing does then in the 1940s. Standing outside and peeping through the window, waiting for a darshan of the Lord. Because he was convinced that he saw the Atma. And that was the ultimate experience. You see, sometimes in life, tragedies occur. In the worst possible tragedy, you sometimes get the greatest gift of your life. Wolf Messing was being chased by two most powerful dictators of those times. They wanted his life. And that turned out to be advantageous because that is what made him come to India and find the Atman, as he would say.
The fame that Raju can write very nice poetry was spreading. And Swami, many times he would beautifully narrate this incident of one Kote Subbanna. This is how he looked. He had a small shop in Kamalapuram. He came to Swami and said, Satyam, you write very nice poetry. I have a new drug which has come. I'm going to sell it. It's an Ayurvedic medicine.
That medicine was prepared by Pandit Gopal Charlu.
Right. He was the Ayurvedic expert who prepared that medicine. And so he said, I will give you the details about the medicine. Will you be able to write a small jingle? I will get small children. I'll ask them to go around the streets and sing it.
కొట్టే సుబ్బన్న అని చాలా పెద్ద వ్యాపారస్తుడు.
There lived a big businessman by name Kotte Subbanna.
అప్పుడు కొట్టే సుబ్బన్నకు ఒక కొత్త మందు వచ్చింది.
And Kotte Subbanna brought a new medicine that day.
అప్పుడు దాని యొక్క గుణములంతా చెప్పి, రాజు దీన్ని కొంచెం నువ్వు ప్రచారం చేయవలసింది, లేకపోతే నాకు చాలా నష్టం వస్తుంది అనేది.
Kotte Subbanna clearly explained the purpose of this medicine and wanted Bhagavan to compose, to write in favor
నేను
of
అప్పుడు
it.
ఒక 5-6 మంది పిల్లల్ని తీసుకునేటువంటి వాడిని.
And 5 to 6 children were always
చిన్న
around
పిల్లలు.
Swami, the tiny tots.
వాళ్ళకి రాత్రి పగలు కూడా దీన్ని నేర్పించేవాడిని.
And Bhagavan used to train them day and night.
పాట రాశాను.
And Swami composed a song.
రాసి ఆ పాటను వీధి చదవమని నేను చెప్పేటువంటి వాడిని.
And he used to tell the children to sing this song in every street.
దొరికే బాల భాస్కర బాలకులారా రండి బాలకులారా.
We could have Bala Bhaskara the medicine. Oh boys, come on, come close.
కడుపుబ్బురము కాళ్ళవాపులు చేతి మోదులను చెడుగుణముండి అజాగరూక పోషణ నుండి అకృత్పిల్హ వ్యాధుల నుండి అజీర్ణ వీరేచనమునకుండి బాలకులారా రండి బాలకులారా.
Oh boys, understand that medicine is useful for all joint pains, for constipation, the stomach pain, and for also for dysentery. Know the uses of all
ఈ
this
పాట
medicine.
పాడేటప్పటికి అర్ధ దినం లోపల వచ్చిన స్టాక్ అంతా అయిపోయింది.
As this song was sung along the streets, the entire stock was exhausted.
ఈ విధంగా అతనికి సంతోషం ఇచ్చేటప్పటికి అతనికి చాలా ఆనందం వచ్చింది.
And he was extremely happy.
నాకు ఒక నిక్కరు ఒక చొక్కా కుట్టించాడు.
And he got a knicker and shirt ready for Swami.
సుబ్బన్న, నేను బటన్ నిమిత్తమై నేను ఇక్కడ రాయలేదు, ఈ బటన్ నాకు అక్కర్లేదు, ఒకరిదేని నేను ఎప్పుడు ముట్టను, ఇది మీరే తీసుకోండి అన్నాను.
I have not composed this song for these new clothes. No, I'll never touch any such gifts. Better you keep it yourself, said Swami.
కనుక ఇవన్నీ నాకు ఇచ్చేటట్టుగా ఉంటే నేను నీ అంగడి దగ్గరికి కూడా రాను అని ఎంతో కఠినంగా చెప్పాను.
If you insist that I should accept, I will never visit your shop. Swami was very strong in this point.
అప్పటి నుంచి కొట్టే సుబ్బన్న నన్ను ఏం చూసినా అడిగేటువంటి వాడు కాదు.
Since then, Kotte Subbanna never made such
నా పైన
requests.
మీ ప్రేమ ఒక్కటి ఉంటే చాలు అనేటువంటి వాడు పాపం.
And he said, Swami, it's enough if you love me.
And after that, Swami started writing poetry for a lot of small plays. And that was when people started realizing that this boy had wisdom way beyond his years.
People were amazed because not only was he poetic, where is this boy getting all his information from? In his lullaby that again Swami has sung many times in discourses, Swami would speak about Stalin's Red Armies, how Hitler is getting defeated on the battlefront in Russia. Those days there was not even daily newspapers. You would get 3-day-old news, 4-day-old news. In such time, how was this boy getting instantaneous news that none of us are aware about? He would compose poems against smoking, against modern fashion trends. That time Swami would say that the trend was for men to grow moustaches. And Swami composed poems saying what is so special in moustache, even a cockroach has a long moustache. And many such poems. Swami would write about the fashion of hanging a watch from the waist or applying talcum powder to the face to make it white. As Prem said, this was the time in Kamalapuram that everyone recognized not only his capabilities as a poet, but his capabilities as a thinker, his ability to influence and inspire.
We would conclude here, but we would conclude with this thought that when we talk about Swami's difficulties, he did not have clothes to wear, he did not have the right kind of food to eat. That was a time in 1930s. It was the war time. Even the cities were not getting enough resources. But we are talking about a small town, a small village, a village which was so insignificant. Many children of that age would have actually gone through some of these things. Many children would have had to carry water for their households. Many children would have had to eat the yesterday's sankati the next day. But even as we listen to these stories, we have to remind ourselves, here is a child who chose these things.